The dream of many women is to experience the joy of conception and receive the grace of carrying their babies to full term, as well as deliver happily. While this comes easy to a good number of women of childbearing age, it is an uphill task for some others. Now, have you ever heard of polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS? This is the flip side of nature for women of reproductive age. For those suffering from this disease having to do with hormonal imbalance and issues with personal metabolism, the dream of conception must be deliberate and calculated with close medical guidance. Are you or do you perhaps know someone who is affected and you need knowledge about how to deal with it? Now you, my dear, are in luck, because polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, is our focus on this episode of the program. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, and this is Health Options. Welcome. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, is the most common gynecological disorder in women of reproductive age. Women with PCOS experience hormonal imbalance and metabolism problem, as I noted earlier, and these may affect their overall health and appearance. Well, that is much I know, but if you stay with us, a renowned gynecologist will in short while be explaining PCOS to us, what we should know as women and men alike, what we should be doing and what to avoid, particularly in our lifestyle, to defeat PCOS. This and our complimentary segment shortly. Many thanks for being there. I have with me one of the trailblazers in his medical specialty, an obstetric gynecologist par excellence and founder of NISA Medical Group, Dr. Ibrahim Wada.
Thank you. My great pleasure to be here.
Now, give us an insight into what PCOS is and why is it peculiar to women?
Okay. Polycystic ovaries is a fairly common hormonal imbalance in women, whereby their ovaries are bigger and they have a lot of small cysts. So when we say polycystic, it means the ovary has tiny, tiny cysts, too many, more than normal. And it signifies that they have too many eggs developing at the same time in their ovaries. The main complaint of women with polycystic ovary syndrome is they could have irregular menses almost from the beginning of their menstrual life, whereby a woman can wait more than a month, 2 months, 6 months, yet no menstruation. Some of them also have weight gain. A lot more will have hair distribution, maybe mustache, maybe beard, hair on the chest or low abdomen, which are all a manifestation of the kind of hormone imbalance that I've talked about. It's common because we estimate that here in this country about 1 in 4, 25% of women in the reproductive age group will have one mix or the other of polycystic ovaries, either alone or associated with one symptom like the menstrual irregularity, several months, no menses, and then difficulty to conceive and so on. And you call that a syndrome. And why it's common is a mixture of whether they are carriers of the genes that can predispose them to this kind of enlarged ovaries, or the environmental influences, the modern ways of life is provoking the body's reaction. I think the key one is the hereditary, which I've just mentioned, that your parents have the genes that predispose you to polycystic ovaries. So your mommy's shape, whether she has the same kind of effect when she was in reproductive life, usually between the ages of say 16 and 44 years of age, that's when this problem predominate. The gene can also be contributed by the father. And many people don't know this, that men who tend to have bald head, frontal baldness, carry a gene that predisposes their female children to what we call polycystic ovaries. It's also somehow tied with a family history of diabetes. Yeah, these people cannot tolerate sugar they have insulin resistance to higher insulin levels in them, and this is part of the male hormone development that happens in this case. So it's a genetic mix of a mother who has the predisposition and a father who has a bald head.
So why is it common among women?
I think it's a mixture of genes as well as the modern environment. It's less common amongst us here than, for example, in the Middle Eastern societies. There's more than 33% of the women have it. You inherit it and you just carry on the genetic system like that. It's not from smoking, it's not for alcoholism, it's not necessarily a lifestyle thing, but a genetic and environmental thing that nobody really understands what is the key factor that makes you to express the gene, because some people may have that gene and they have a perfect normal life. They are not polycystic at all. So there is there's no guilt on any woman who has polycystic ovaries. We better say that's how God made her.
Okay.
And so the question of why is it common is not so much individual fault or family fault as much as what the Lord made the person to be like.
Dr. Wada is still here. There is more to learn after this time out.
Curious about how government policies on healthcare are faring? Do you enjoy learning about wellness concept and the many options available? Then watch Health Options on the NTA.
Mr. President has led by example. Take the COVID-19 vaccine.
Somebody can say, hey, I woke up this morning, I felt some tingling in my hand, some weakness, my face I couldn't speak well. That's a warning stroke, and it shouldn't be ignored.
The carrots contains carotene. Tomatoes is a colored plant. It has carotene. Pepper has carotene.
50% of our diet should be green vegetables and fruits.
Join leading experts on both orthodox and alternative medicine for all the enlightenment you need for a healthier you.
Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Rabi Abdullah.
If you just joined, the program is Health Options, and we have been discussing polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, with Dr. Ibrahim Wada. At what point should a woman be worried?
Almost from the beginning. You see, like I said, if what we call menarche is the beginning of your menses, it's one of the first signs that you have your menses now, and 3 months later, 6 months later, none again. That's when you should start thinking, do I have this hormone imbalance called polycystic ovary syndrome, or unusual weight gain from a young age, and not necessarily because the person is eating too much. It's a metabolic problem whereby they are unable to handle sugar the way everybody else handles sugar, so a lot of it is stored and you keep piling on weight. You want to diet, you want to exercise, it's not as responsive because there's something wrong with the way the hormone balance is, and it predisposes you to this abnormal phenotype where you put on weight with the slightest provocation. That again will make somebody to get worried. You are young, you are in your reproductive age, apart from menstrual irregularity, you start getting hair in the wrong places, it should also warn you. And I think that those are the key things that will make someone want to know if they need to run the test. And what tests are we talking about? Reproductive hormone measurements. Yeah, you have heard of estrogen, you've heard of progesterone, you've heard of FSH and LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. You've heard of prolactin. Those are some of the hormone measurements doctors will do. Then you've heard of scanning, ultrasound scanning, especially of the ovaries. Again, doctors will ask for that to see how do your ovaries look on scan. Do they have that necklace arrangement of small cysts like I've tried to describe or not? And no woman has everything. Since it's a genetic thing, it's hardly curable.
So how can it be managed now, doctor?
Giving them hormones, even contraceptive hormones, will help to regularize the period, may help reduce some of the hormone imbalances that the women have. So we have all sorts of estrogen, progesterone combinations that we use. Then apart from that one, if you have hair problems, you have to attack that one by aesthetic means, that is to remove the hair or use drugs that suppress hair growth. Weight gain, we also know that you are looking at diet and exercise control, no matter how frustrating, they help a little. Then if there's fertility issues, then we try to examine further, what about the husband, the other factors that can cause fertility. If they are not there, then there are treatments prescribed. Hormone drugs that provoke ovulation, which part of the problem is that the woman is not ovulating regularly. And even when you try to provoke the ovulation, too many eggs come up at once. Yeah. So these are the things that we encounter. We recommend that this kind of diagnosis are handled by specialists called gynecologists who know better how to achieve a balance for egg production to enhance the fertility. Many other fertility treatments are available, but this is not an occasion for that.
And on a final note now, doctor, as a specialist, what is your advice to people who are going through this condition?
Okay, I think it starts from the time a young girl is going through puberty. She has her first menses. We need to look. How is her development? How is her menses? Many parents or even their teachers in school may not be aware of this polycystic ovaries, but with this kind of media attention, it is in that position that is detected early, counseling, support to understand, even to start the diet and exercise regimes early. There's another medication called metformin. We give it to diabetics. This helps to reduce the sugar level and gives them a longer time before developing any of the symptoms that I've tried to describe of polycystic ovaries. So this can be instituted at the appropriate time by specialist doctors to help these people cope better with any distress in their reproductive life, social life, in terms of periods not coming all the time and so on. So that's the way. Awareness, which is what you are trying to create for both parents at home, teachers in school, and also for the medical community who see these cases. I
wish you can go on and on, but we have to leave it here for now. Many thanks for coming.
It's my pleasure to be here, and I wish everyone well. Thank you very much.
It has been quite a revealing session with Dr. Wada. We thank you again for doing this. Still looking at fertility, Dr. Ben Amodu is standing by on our complimentary segment to educate us about alternative medicine and how it can boost fertility.
There are certain chemicals secreted by our human body that travels up and down in the human system, both man and woman, that act as a messenger. And what do? They regulate thyroid function. They regulate issues of metabolism, mitochondrial activities. And then, yeah, that is what they do mostly, balancing it up and down. When there is a shortage in the production of this messenger, which is the hormone, the chemical that is made by the body going up and down, regulating how the body's activities are carried out, either there's a drop, there's an increase, there's a consequence for that. And the consequences could be overweight, mood swing, increase in male hormone production, and then you have issues of infertility as a result of either the female sexual hormone is not as well produced as the male, so PCOS arises, and it could lead to ovarian cancer and even some heart diseases and what have you. So that is the basis.
Let's now narrow it to infertility, because that is one of the major things we are focusing on this aspect of the program now. What do you think is because a problem when it comes to infertility?
When there's this hormonal imbalance, already infertility has come. What it does in women is that they have more of the male hormone production than the female, which they should naturally be producing. As a result of that, their menses comes large. For some, it may come tiny. As I told you, if it's increased or decreased, it's a problem. It's a delicate balance. So if they have that, they may be over menstruating, under menstruating, and once those ones are happening, the egg production and all that is, nothing can happen. Once there's no balance in your hormonal production, infertility is already envisaged. So the solution you are looking for is to bring the balance of those chemicals that are produced within the body that act as the messengers going up and down, to make sure that regulations, adequate amount of the various hormones are produced for the activities of the body to go on well, because it may lead to overweight. You know, a lot of these people have overweight, mood swing here and there. Some of them even develop thyroid. And then there are times their eating habits and others. But the good thing is that in the traditional, complementary, and alternative medicine, there are food materials that have been identified that have very, very powerful effect. I'll give you an example. Somebody came to my clinic about 2 weeks ago. What's your age? I'm 38 years. When last did you do menses? No, sir. I'm sorry. My menses in the last 2 years, they told me that it's an early menopause. I said, Kai, shut up. What is early menopause at 38? When is your productive life? If at 38 you are not seeing your menses, it is not. You are having hormonal imbalance. And we will give you this food combination that has been made into a product for it to restore back, and then you will see your menses again. And we give. And 2 months later, she confessed that her period came, and it came normal. And you know, anytime there's hormonal imbalance, sometimes it may be backed with cyst. Cyst may be there, may or may not be there. Endometriosis may be there on one side. Infection, Staphylococcus, E. coli, Salmonella, call them, may be there. Even fallopian tube blockade may be there. And then the real name, hormonal imbalance. The good thing about herbs is that they are master of all. They work on all this and take care of the situation and restore normal production of hormones. And every situation is restored, and the menses. Because while you are having hormonal imbalance, you can't take in. You cannot take in. And this same happens to men. In the women case, what do they notice? One, the period is the most critical. It's either they are under menstruating or over menstruating. Some can menstruate for 30 days. Some, instead of 5 days, they menstruate for 1 day. Those are the signs. 2, some, when they meet with their husband, it's a lot of pain experienced. 3, in fact, some of them, they are not ovulating at all. From records of HSG and other tests carried out, they are not at all. Or the eggs are badly formed. Then, what else? These are some amongst others. In the male folk, instead of their own male hormones production, they do the opposite. Have more of the estrogens. And then their hormone is unbalanced. Their sperm is zero sperm production. Painful meeting with their wives. 3, you know, normally the sperm count is supposed to be 30, 40, 50 million. They have 0. In that situation, they cannot do anything. Then, what is it again? Some of them don't produce sperm at all. And then some of them, their male organ has shortened to very small. All these have to do with hormonal imbalance and infection, which I said earlier, is always accompanying any of this thing. So for the purpose of this NTA interview, I want to appeal to husbands. When you are married with your wife, you have become one. The issue of following your wife to do your test and follow up and correct if this type of situation exists should not be a bragging one. I go out and I don't have issues outside. No, all those things are unnecessary. When you have hormonal imbalance, it is very difficult for your wife to take in. And when she eventually takes it, she may abort. When you start seeing such things happening, it's a big issue. So there's a need for both of you to go out and seek for medical attention, not to push only your wife out. Okay. Please.
Okay. What do one need to do now to avoid, and what does one need to do for the benefit of those?
You know, this bitter leaf is a very powerful one. Water leaf is powerful. Agbaluma and co, they are all powerful. But you know, we are not telling you this just for you to go and sit down somewhere and start putting them together, because we have been able to put them together in an acceptable standard form that NAFDAC has given listening approval. So we are not encouraging you to go and become
like dietary food.
The dietary, yes. Take a lot of salad with your food and all that, because some of those salad materials have the capacity to correct, like in ovarian cancer issues, where you talk about that purple cabbage that I used to bring here. That is broccoli, cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. A test has been done, and it shows that even ovarian cancer, it can deal with it. So if you are on all that, which are part of a standard salad, it will go a long way to suppress and correct some of these situations.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Allow these children to grow.
Yes.
Many of them, you have somebody 14, 15 going to the university. Where are you going?
Information technology is the future.
Hello, a warm welcome to you. This is Platform. I'm Ruth Aguela.
If you don't create that awareness and you don't bring the young minds to identify that there are benefits in astronomy.
We have had experiences through various leadership strata, bringing us to where we can.
Platform engages guests on topical issues for national interest.
We have cases like that. We all to protect children and also make parents realize that they have a primary responsibility.
Join us every Thursday at 2 p.m. on the network service of the NTA.
That concludes this week's episode of Health Options. If you missed any part of these as well as previous editions, you can always catch up on our YouTube channel. Send us your comments and suggestions at nta.gov.ng. Many thanks for watching. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim. Do take care of yourself. Thank you.